Today's episode of Pastor with No Answers is sponsored by the band Wild Earth. They just released a brand new album called Holy Fools, and it's amazing. Let's check out a clip of this track called Gardens.
Oh, holy three in one. Every moment in your presence, I am undone. I am undone. You wreck my boundaries with your love.
Awesome. That song is called Gardens by Wild Earth. These guys are an indie rock band from Arizona, and they just put out their sophomore full-length titled Holy Fools. If you like what you just heard, go and pick it up on iTunes right now. Listen to the record on Apple Music, Spotify, or your favorite digital streaming source. You can also get all of this info just by going to wildearthmusic.com. Again, that's Gardens off of Wild Earth's new record, Holy Fools.
Softening ground that once was hard.
All right, so I have to say, Brittni, I don't know your new last name. Didn't we have a little marriage happen lately?
Yes, I got married in 2016, February 20th. So my new last name is De La Mora. It's 3 words.
De La Mora. That sounds pretty awesome. That's you've got one of those celebrity sounding names, like Brittni De La Mora. Did I say?
I don't even say it right though. I know, like with the Spanish accent, it's like De La Mora.
Yeah,
but I just say De La Mora.
I mean, you weren't in bad shape with Ruiz too, and I don't even know if I said it right just now, but that was pretty good. Pretty good combination.
Yeah, I never said it right either. I said Reese. So,
Awesome. Well, it's really cool. For people that don't know, we had you on the Bad Christian podcast years ago. I mean, you may have been in like the first 10 episodes, so we have fond memories of that conversation. A lot of people enjoyed it, and so here on this episode, what I would love to do is just kind of get somewhat of a behind-the-scenes look at the porn industry. Obviously, those that consume pornography, and unfortunately, I make that list. Thank the Lord, not on a regular basis, but it's definitely something that I have viewed. I don't want to speak from the perspective of those people, but obviously, those that consume it, we're just seeing it, one end of it. We're seeing what is coming off our computer screens, our phone screens, and obviously there is a lot of work to get to that point in which we're consuming a finished product. So I just thought it would be good to talk to you and kind of get a behind-the-scenes look. So let's get a snapshot. How long were you in the porn industry?
I was in the industry for 7 years.
Yeah, 7 years. And that was 7 years of actual movie scenes. I mean, I don't even know what's the industry like. Were you a movie star?
I mean, they call it porn stars.
Porn stars, yeah.
I mean, when I left the industry, they were like, the world's hottest porn star leaves porn and finds Jesus, you know? And now they're like, from porn to preacher. Yeah. It's like, the name's always with me. I'm still the ex-porn star.
Is that frustrating at all? Or it's just like, I mean, because it is a really big deal. You're a Christian now. I mean, you have said goodbye to, I mean, is it... And this is the kind of stuff that I want to get to. I was about to say, and I mean, for the record, I don't like porn. Porn is harmful and all that, so I don't want any of this to sound to the contrary. But it was an industry that was very good to you financially, correct? I mean, it was very favorable for your pocketbook.
Yes. I mean, when I was in the industry, I was making about $30,000 a month. Sometimes more, sometimes less. But with the porn industry, it comes, escorting, like high-end prostitution and all of that stuff. So you make a lot of money doing those kinds of things as well.
Yeah. Gotcha. So let's take someone that logs onto their computer and they just go to Google and they type in naked women. They're probably not going to get a bunch of hits of pornographic sex scenes and that sort of thing. They're probably going to get a bunch of pictures of naked women. So let's take Playboy and compare that to the actual porn movie industry. Are we talking two completely different industries here, or same lump of clay?
I mean, I would say it's the same lump of clay. Like a lot of porn stars end up at the Playboy Mansion. It's all kind of intertwined.
Yeah.
I think the difference is that Playboy tries their best to keep it, like, as far as I know, I don't think in their magazine they use like sex toys and stuff like that. Right. But I know, they have actually branched out into porn because they have their own film production company now.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I'm speaking, when I say now, I quit the industry almost 5 years ago. Right. So, I mean, that's how it was when I was in the industry. They had just branched out.
Yeah. Gotcha. So, when your 7 years of being in the industry, were there people in the actual industry, so people that made money from the porn industry, where you felt respected by? Like, are there supervisors or agents where you actually felt like they respected you as a person?
You know what? Yes. I do think that, because I think that people respect you to the best that they know how. Yeah. Now, looking back, like my standard of respect has been raised since leaving that industry. So now I would look and say, you want me to take my clothes off for money? You want me to do, these types of scenes? Like, that's not really respectful.
Right.
But when you're in that industry, they respected me the best they knew how. For example, when I first signed up with an agency, I was brand new. I didn't know what half the stuff meant. I didn't know different sexual positions. Like, I was naive to that industry. So my agent had me initial everything that I was willing to do in a scene. And I literally marked off everything. I didn't even know what it was. DP, anal, like, what is all this stuff? Right. But I marked everything off. But my agent said, have you ever actually done this stuff? And I said, no. He goes, then you shouldn't be initialing these kinds of things.
Gotcha.
So to me, when I look back, I'm like, okay, he was respecting me the best that he knew how with where he is in life.
Right. So let's take someone who, I mean, golly, that's it's heartbreaking, because I think that you obviously represent a lot of naive women and well, even dudes for that matter, that are getting into the porn industry. And I don't know, did you see dollar signs, or did you see, oh my gosh, I'm getting a lot of attention for my body, let's go ahead and take that for all it's worth and see what I can do with it? Like, what was the motivation, if obviously a lot of this stuff was uncomfortable for you?
So I had a few different motives. I think definitely money was one of them. I loved the attention. Yeah. The attention that I was getting in the porn industry was filling a void of attention that I didn't get from home. Yeah. So the affirmation that I got there felt really good, because I didn't have a family that told me that I was beautiful, that I was destined to be a star, that I was going to be successful in life. They really cursed me and cursed my future. So coming from that, it was almost like the industry, it felt like such a loving place at first. Yeah. And so that was definitely it. And then because I was so hurt and broken, I had this sense of pride, like, oh, I'll show my family I am going to be somebody, and I'm just going to go out and do the craziest things that I can do to just kind of to shame them and to prove them wrong. And you know what I mean? So there were a few different motives that were going on in my heart at that time.
Totally. Were you ever able to bring yourself to a point emotionally in which you were okay and even confident with what you were doing? So in other words, there was no deep down inside, I felt shame and I felt, emotional turmoil. Was there ever a time in those 7 years where you're like, oh, this is what I'm doing and I'm happy with it. This is good.
Yeah, in the very beginning, for probably less than a year,
Gotcha.
I felt like that. I felt like, you know what, this is awesome. But throughout that year, I experienced, I had caught gonorrhea, and, that to me was like detrimental, even though it's, as my agent said, it's just a shot in the butt and everything's going to be okay. Like, it's going to go away. But that to me, I was like, well, I've never even caught an STD. And so from there, I had a director tell me that I was fat and that I needed to lose weight. And I was only 105 pounds.
Yeah.
So that to me was like, I had just, in high school gone to a hospital for anorexia. So to me, it's like all these little things. And then I just started to feel like, what am I doing here? Yeah. Like, I hate this.
Yeah.
But I think that because I was so prideful, I didn't want to admit that I had made a mistake.
Yeah.
And so my pride kept me in an industry 6 years longer, because that's what pride will do to you. Pride will make you stay stuck in a season of life that you don't even want to be in, because you're too prideful to admit that you've messed up or made a mistake.
Yeah. Golly, that is 6 years because of your daggum pride, Brittni.
I know. What was I thinking?
Something that I just think is so, not to swell your head up, but hey, encouragement is always good for people every now and then. But like, just your ability to reflect on this season of your life with. You obviously aren't reflecting on it in a very nonchalant, this stuff doesn't matter, but it really, unless you're like an unbelievably gifted con artist, this history that's in your life holds no power over you, because there's not any sort of regret that comes out of your voice from again, in a healthy way. Like there's not this, oh my gosh, it just makes me so sad, or I just can't believe these things that I've done. I'm so embarrassed. I'm so ashamed. Like you really talk about this in a way where it does not have power over you.
And the reason for that is because I spend time every single day in God's presence, and every day He affirms me. He gives me the strength to just continue to move forward, and He's truly made me a new creation in Christ. So I really look at it as like the past is in the past. So now I'm going to use the past to glorify His name.
Yeah. Yeah. Now, so take someone like me that's asking these questions. If I'm trying to get in your head, like you don't, the questions I'm asking you, it's not, you're not taking it disrespectfully. You're not taking it as inconsiderate, but you definitely hear these questions as, yeah, these are interesting for people to hear. And I'm willing to give the answers to these questions, but this is a different frame of mind. In other words, you have this categorized in, this isn't even me anymore. So I can talk about it, but whatever,
Yeah,
I mean,
it's true.
It seems like you would have to get frustrated at some point, though. Like, stop asking me questions about pornography. I am not a porn star. That is not my identity. I mean, how do you navigate that? Because I mean, here, like, we all really enjoyed you a few years ago on the Bad Christian podcast. But then when I thought to myself, hey, I really want to have a Pastor with No Answers episode and kind of get behind the scenes of pornography, I'd contact you, because I'm like, well, she's nice, she's intelligent, she's, I'm sure doing interviews and stuff, so I'll ask her about pornography. Is that not frustrating to you?
No, the reason it's not frustrating to me is because, unfortunately, porn is a multi-billion-dollar industry, and it's people are suffering with porn addictions every single day. There's people in the church, people outside of the church, and people are looking for help. And what I've noticed is that when I share my story, it's so funny, because people will see they'll be Googling, my stage name to try to watch some of my porn movies, and then they'll come across an interview that I've done, and I'll get an email from them saying, wow, I didn't know that you went through that when you were in the industry. And there's people that aren't even Christians that say, I can't even watch porn anymore. Like, I feel horrible. Like, I can only imagine how many other women are depressed and suicidal like you were, or addicted to drugs. Like, it's not even fun for me anymore. Like, I can't watch it.
Right.
And other people say, thank you. Your stories led me back to God. So being open about my story, I'm willing to be as open as I can be for as long as I need to be so that I can continue to help people.
Yeah. Wow, that's cool. All right, so someone is watching a scene in which, and I'm not trying to be crass, just trying to be straightforward, open. So let's just say a woman is with two guys having, their way with her body, and the scene is over. The cameraman or whoever says cut. What happens to that woman after that scene? And I guess what I'm asking, are there chuckles, haha, that was fun, or is all the way to going to the bathroom sobbing?
I definitely, there's different ends of it. Like, I know some women, I've been counseling a woman who, is in the process of leaving that industry. And she says that when she's done, like, she literally just cries.
Yeah.
She just cannot take it. Then there's other women where it's just like, okay, that's that. Give me my paycheck. I'm going to go take a shower and then I'm out.
Right.
So yeah, but I mean, it's different for everybody. And the thing is too, in that industry, is that a lot of people put on a poker face and they smile. Like, when I was in that industry, you never would have known that I was as broken as I was because I hid it from everybody, so there's just different reactions for every woman, but you definitely do have the woman that does cry in the bathroom, and then, so that's sad, but it's true.
That's interesting. I wonder, especially being in counseling with some of these women and helping them through this sort of thing, do you think that they're at a more dangerous place, for lack of better words, when they don't feel the gravity of shooting a simple sex scene?
Yeah, it's hard to say because I feel like they all feel it. They may just not feel it in front of everybody. Like, I know that I didn't feel it in front of everybody. It was like, that was awesome. All right, we're done. Like, that's a wrap. Good job, everybody. But then when I'd get home, like, I was just like, what am I doing with my life? Like, I hate myself. This is horrible. So I'm pretty sure most of the women and men do feel it. They just don't always feel it in front of other people.
Gotcha. What about these guys that are in porn scenes? Is there a particular type of dude that is attracted to this? Like, are you kind of like, every dude that's on the scene, they're kind of the same sort of person, or?
Yeah, I think I kind of figured it out. I think with the men, oftentimes society really glamorizes like a man being with as many women as he can. And so oftentimes a man will find his worth and he'll find his value in the amount of women that he gets to sleep with.
Yeah.
And so the type of man that will enter into that industry is a man who doesn't truly know who he is, a man that's searching for his value. He's searching for his worth, and he finds it in money, success, which many men will equate money to success.
Yeah.
So they find it there, and then they find it in the amount of women that they get to be with. So the lost.
I mean, so someone in your position when you were in the industry and you looked at a guy that was also investing time, energy into the porn industry, did you see those guys as, okay, one day they recognize they have an unbelievable body with a great six-pack, and they're like, you know what? I love having sex with women. Why not just get in the porn industry and I can get paid for it? Like, did you think that about those guys? Like, oh, well, that's the only thing in their mind?
Well, that's pretty much because I would ask people. I was always like the one that asked the questions on set. So I would ask them, like, how'd you get into porn? Like, why'd you get into porn? And that was typically their answer. Like, I mean, they would say, well, I'm well endowed, but they may not use those types of words. I've got the package. And so I just, I like sleeping with women and I like money. So I figured, why not get into the porn industry?
Yeah.
And so they would search out, agencies, or really take the time to figure out how to get into the industry.
Yeah. Yeah. Golly. So I don't know. I would assume that you've heard about a bunch of movements in which they're trying to, I don't know, do the industry a little more humanely and a little more respectfully. And have you heard about those sorts of movements in the porn industry? You know, just with like a higher caliber of respect for the people involved and that sort of thing?
I haven't heard of anything recently. I know that for a while they've been trying, well, which actually I believe the condom law is passed. They just haven't really been enforcing it. But I know that that was something that, they've been trying to do and figure out a way to enforce for a while.
Right.
The porn industry, of course, is fighting it because the reality is that most people, the viewers of porn, they prefer the non-condom scenes. So the people, the production companies that shoot without condoms typically make more money and sell more videos.
See, that's something that I didn't even think about. So part of the angle of being more humane is like really supporting condom use for scenes.
I believe so. I mean, if that's what you're talking about, because
Gotcha.
I know they've been trying to do that for a while.
Gotcha.
And I mean, I think that it would be a great thing for them, because one thing that a lot of performers don't admit, that I will openly admit, is that there are a lot of STDs that go on in that industry, even though you get tested every 28 days. Say that I wasn't in that, when I was in that industry, I didn't have unprotected sex outside of that industry.
Right.
But a lot of people do. So if you get tested on March 1st and then on March 2nd you sleep with a girl that has chlamydia, then you catch it, and now for the next 27 days until your next test, you're giving every person that you have a sex scene with chlamydia.
Yeah.
So, and that's something a lot of people, they don't like to admit, that it's very regulated. Well, yeah, in the industry it's regulated, but a lot of people don't just have sex in the industry. They have unprotected sex out of the industry.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow. How about, and one thing that I missed about the guys that are on the scene, forgot to ask you, did you have, so I asked if you felt respected by some people. Were there anyone in the field, for instance, that were overtly disrespectful because in a way where, okay, well, she's a porn star, so if she's walking down the hall, I'm going to slap her on her butt because she doesn't care. She's a porn star. Did you have people that did not treat you as a valuable person?
Yes, but that scenario that you gave in that industry wouldn't be considered disrespectful. Like, that just kind of goes along with the territory. But there was this guy, he was a production or director, production manager, all of that, and also a performer. But I got to a point in the industry where I would literally have a no list. And then I went from having a no list to only having a yes list, because I would only say, like, I'm only going to work with these 10 guys or whatever, because you get people that are just gross. They don't take care of themselves. There was one guy that my agency that I was with had banned all of his women from working with, because when it came time to, as they say, like the money shot, like when it came time to that, he would pee in their faces. Right. And like, that's disrespectful. That's disgusting, and in that industry, that's considered a high level of disrespect. So there are a few people like that. A lot of people treat that industry like a business. And so, I mean, looking at it, like, from where I am now, of course, like, I see things from a different light now, but when I was in it, I guess the people that I worked with, I felt respected by, because I chose to work with them.
Gotcha. Yeah, that makes sense. All right, so I do want to just clarify. So you were saying earlier that it was not even disrespectful for someone to get a cheap feel if you walk by them in the hall. I mean, that was just kind of commonplace.
Yeah, in that industry, you're walking around each other like naked, and you know what I mean? It's just, you're going to be sleeping with that person. And you wouldn't get a bunch of the directors usually. Every now and then you get a director that feels like they just want to grab you or whatever, but it's still in that industry. It's like, well, he's paying my check. And then it's not like, it's just not considered disrespectful in that industry.
Yeah. Gotcha. What would, if you reflect on this the 7 years, which obviously there's a lot of good that can come out of those sorts of reflections, especially when you're ministering to other people that are in the scene and just talking about pornography in general, do you ever have the emotion of anger, or is it all compassion, sadness to the people that are in the industry?
Yeah, I definitely feel like I have more compassion and sadness and grace towards the people that are in the industry because they don't know any better.
Yeah.
It's like when Jesus goes to the cross and he says, "Forgive them, Father, for they know not what they are doing." Some people are stuck in a season of life or are stuck in that type of industry because they truly don't know what they're doing. They truly don't think or understand that they deserve a better life than the one that they're living.
Right.
And some people are walking in the dark because nobody's come into their life and turned the light on yet.
Yeah.
And so I definitely I have a big heart for them. And yeah, I don't have any anger whatsoever.
Did you ever deal with anger?
Not from that industry.
Right.
I did deal with anger, yes, not particularly from porn because I truly felt like I made those decisions.
Yeah.
After about 3.5 years in the industry, I had actually left for a little bit because I was suicidal. I was a heroin addict, and I ended up getting sober. I accepted Jesus as my Lord and Savior, but then a man came into my life, and men were my weakness. So I started dating him, and he was a pimp. And so he got me back into the industry. I ended up getting pregnant. He made me abort my child. So it's like, that's where I started to deal with anger, because I felt like I didn't want to do that. And so I had a lot of anger. I could not forgive him. I couldn't forgive myself for a very long time. And so that's where my anger really came from. And then, just anger from the way I was treated growing up and not feeling loved and feeling rejected. That's kind of where my anger came from. But Jesus is so good. He's my healer, and the grace that he's put on my life, like he's given me the ability to forgive everybody that's hurt me. I've forgiven myself. And now I'm able to even talk about those things to really help people who are battling with those. I actually just wrote a really great blog on overcoming the pain of an abortion.
Oh, wow.
And it helped so many women reach out to me and just said, thank you. I've been not able to forgive myself, and I'm trying to walk with Jesus, but that condemnation. And so, I'm able to use those parts of my testimony to really help people now.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. Where do you write blog posts? Where can people go?
On my website, Brittni.com.
You're going to have to spell that last name.
I was just going to say that. Well, even my first name, nobody can figure my first name out because my grandma's creativity, but it's Brittni. And then my last name, DELAMORA.
Awesome. Awesome. And we'll have that in the show notes, everyone. And you're kind of you're somewhat of a face for XXX Church. What are you helping advertise? There's some sort of a Bible deal or something going on?
Okay, the XXX Church is so amazing. I love them. They go out to the porn conventions and they give out Bibles that say Jesus loves porn stars.
Yeah.
And when I was in the porn industry, I had received quite a few of those Bibles from them. And so what they do is right now they are raising money so that they can print more of those Bibles. I think they print like 30,000 of them. And they hand them out at the porn conventions to the porn stars, to the people who are there trying to get autographs from the porn stars. Like, they hand these Bibles out, and these Bibles, they're life-changing because I know the one that I had received was the book of John. Yeah. And so, and it does say Jesus loves porn stars because Jesus loves everybody. And I think being in that industry, you think like, how can God love me? How can Jesus love a woman like me or a man like me? But they give you that book and it just shows you, that Jesus does love you. And so that's what they're doing right now is they're raising more money to be able to print more Bibles.
Awesome. Brittni, it was awesome catching up with you, and we certainly appreciate your time.
Thank you. Likewise.